President Trump claiming North Korea is no longer a nuclear threat, U.S. intelligence is saying something different. According to a new report, North Korea is actually expanding its ballistic missile capabilities. Satellite imagery from North Korea shows them upgrading a solid fuel ballistic missile facility. Such missiles can be launched on a moment's notice. Now, this comes after President Trump met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un at a summit in Singapore last month. And here to talk everything North Korea is Shannon Vavra. She's a reporter for Axios. Shannon, welcome. Shannon,
thanks for having me.
So glad to have you. Shannon, how should we view these new reports of North Korea possibly expanding its ballistic missile capabilities?
It's definitely not a good sign of good faith from North Korea that they're on the way to denuclearization. But some experts at 38 North that had a different report, aside from this Middlebury report, showing that there was some continued development in some of the nuclear materials at a facility, said that this doesn't necessarily show us that they're not going to denuclearize in the future, because no orders have come from Pyongyang in effect saying, hey, stop that. But it's definitely not a sign of good faith from North Korea, showing us that they're on the way to denuclearization at this point.
So how can we then imagine that this will affect denuclearization negotiations going forward?
I mean, in the past, right, the president has said that he wanted them to negotiate a denuclearization agreement immediately, and North Korea has in the past pushed for kind of a phase-in of a denuclearization to go step by step, and it looks like we might be moving more towards that. Nothing has necessarily come from North Korea that shows us a good faith effort that they're going to denuclearize, but as a State Department official has told me, the conversations are just getting going, and Singapore was just a first step in a long process.
Now, National Security Advisor John Bolton was on Face the Nation on Sunday. Here's what he had to say about negotiations with North Korea.
We're very well aware of North Korea's patterns of behavior over decades of negotiating with the United States. We know exactly what the risks are of them using negotiations to drag out the length of time they have to continue their nuclear, chemical, biological weapons programs and ballistic missiles.
So he says his administration isn't being naive, but are they being too lenient?
We have to look at this from the perspective of, we do know that North Korea in the past has come to the table to talk about denuclearization, and any efforts have to take into account that they're probably going to try and move past and avoid verification regimes or inspection regimes, and that's where negotiations have fallen apart before over denuclearization. So it's definitely something the administration has to be aware of moving forward. And in terms of whether that's going to come up, there are conversations about Kim Jong-un and President Trump meeting again this fall at the UN General Assembly meeting, as Axios has reported today. So it's possible that their conversations are continuing about how likely it is North Korea does, in fact, denuclearize.
Well, that was going to be my next question to you, because as you just mentioned, as you guys are reporting, President Trump may meet with Kim Jong-un in New York in September during the UN General Assembly. Do you still think this is likely, and will there be any preconditions now that we know this?
The meeting, officials are telling Axios, is probably only going to happen if we see some progress from North Korea. And as we know, and as the White House has confirmed today, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is headed to Pyongyang at the end of this week for a third meeting there, and it'll be the first since Trump's meeting in Singapore with Kim Jong-un. So after that, we'll have to see if there's any movement there, but definitely some progress would be ideal for the administration before they have that second meeting with Trump and Kim Jong-un.
For sure. All right, Shannon Vavra, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.